Welcome to Comic Power. I am your host, Comic Killer 72. Welcome to the segment called Top List. This is the segment where I give you the best of a particular category. Today we're going to do the top 10 writers in comic books right now. I promised a writer spotlight a long time ago, and now I am delivering. I originally planned to highlight one particular writer, but instead of doing that, I scrapped it and decided to do a top 10 list because everybody loves lists. They're always controversial and get everybody talking. It may introduce you to unrecognized talent that you never heard before, and you can discover their work. But first, here's some rules. Rule number 1, this is not a greatest writer of all time list, so no Chris Claremont. If it was, writers of his stature would be on the list. I may do a greatest of all time list in the future, and I don't want to give away all of who will be on it. But for now, just recognize this list is about who's hot right now. Rule number 2, this is based on merit and not on gender, so women will be listed here. I believe that diversity makes the comic book industry even more exciting, with new fresh ideas being presented. If you include my honorable mentions, 3 of the top 20 writers are going to be women. In 10 years, I think that half my list may be women once they get more experience and more opportunity. Rule number 3, indies get major love on this list. Fight the power. I'm a huge advocate for creator rights, and virtually every person on this list has a creator-owned project where they own their intellectual property, most specifically with Image Comics. There's no secret that creators like Jack Kirby, whose character creations garnered billions for corporations, never got a fair shake in life. Today it's not perfect, but it's more fair than it's ever been before. And rule number 4, this is my personal list. If you think I missed something, or if there's a top 10 you would like to post, go ahead and do so in the comment section. So without any further ado, let's get started on the top 10 hottest comic book writers right now. Number 10, Geoff Johns. For those of you who've been following his career, this may seem pretty low, but he's only a part-time writer these days. In 2016, he was promoted to co-chairman of the DC film division. He's credited for co-writing the Wonder Woman movie, so that was the first movie under his watch. And I think that turned out pretty well, don't you think? He's basically going to be the equivalent of Kevin Feige in the DC films. In the comics, he's the architect of Rebirth, and he's already teased that the DC universe is going to collide with the Watchmen universe. In a 12-part miniseries called Doomsday Clock, Superman is literally going to meet Dr. Manhattan. And here's an image of what that fight scene might look like. I don't have enough time to list everything that he's written for DC, but these are some of the things in the crawl that you're seeing right now. Also, while writing the Justice League in 2015, issue number 40, he introduced Grail, who's the daughter of Darkseid. Number 9, Robert Kirkman. And he's best known as the co-creator and writer on The Walking Dead, which is a pop culture phenomenon. Some people forget that it first started in comics back in 2003 with a print run of less than 8,000 copies. So of all comics released after 2000, this is going to be your holy grail, with the print run being so low and being the first appearance of Rick Grimes. Robert Kirkman has been raised to the level of partner at Image Comics. He's the only non-founder to get that title. At the time I made this video, The Walking Dead is still going. It's up to issue 173 at the time I made this video. It's still introducing new characters, and it's better than ever. In 2014, he introduced a new horror series called Outcast, which has a lot of similarities to the movie The Exorcist. It too has been developed for live action. It appears on Cinemax, so if you've never seen it, that's probably why, because nobody has Cinemax. It's a very good series though. Robert had been doing underground and indie comics for years. His first real national buzz came in the 6-part miniseries called Tech Jacket, which introduced the character Invincible. The Invincible character proved so popular that he got his own spin-off series, which is still in publication, and it predated The Walking Dead by about 9 months. Over at Marvel, he's done a Marvel Zombie series, and he was the writer of Ultimate X-Men issues 66 through 93. Robert's had the type of career that all creators dream of, and he's not done yet. He's got plenty of good ideas he's still putting out there on the market. And he owns The Walking Dead. Can you imagine how lucrative that is? Yeah, I would say he's pretty rich. Number 8, Cullen Bunn, and I think he's the best horror writer of his generation. He's garnered acclaim and Eisner nominations from his Dark Horse comic, Harrow County, which has a very small but very solid cult following. He's also the writer of the current continuity of Conan with Conan the Slayer, which is also with Dark Horse Comics. Over at Marvel, he wrote Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, a classic for the ages in its outrageousness, first published in 2012. He was also the writer of the Darth Maul miniseries at Marvel and Monsters Unleashed. He took his talents over to Image as well, and he's the writer of Regression, which has some of the most disturbing covers in comics right now in my opinion. If it's about horror, then Cullen's your guy to call. Number 7. Matt Fraction, and a lot of people are calling him the Frank Miller of his era because he took characters that Marvel didn't know what to do with and made them cool again. Back in 2006, he started writing the immortal Iron Fist when Iron Fist was definitely not cool at all. He fleshed out more details of his origin and added more cool villains to his rogues gallery. This was a time when Iron Fist was all but a forgotten character. Matt did the same thing when he took over Hawkeye and threw out that campy and real comic booky looking Hawkeye and made it more grounded in real world and made people pay attention to Hawkeye, something that's never happened as a solo character. Also at Marvel, he was a primary writer on Uncanny X-Men from 2008 to 2011, and he had a short stint on Punisher War Journal. All of that history is important, but he's best known right now for Sex Criminals, where he's the co-creator and writer about a couple that can stop time when they orgasm, and they use this power to go rob banks. That may sound like an outlandish premise, but the story is told in a fourth wall breaking sarcastic style, and Time magazine has named this one of the best pieces of modern fiction. Comic books usually don't get that type of distinction, and of course it has won multiple Eisners. Number 6. Margery Lee, holding it down for the females. She's best known for the critically acclaimed Monstrous. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know I can't shut up about this book. It's like a fantasy quest with elements of horror, with visuals that are inspired by anime, manga, and steampunk. And those visuals are drawn by Sana Takada, who is also a woman. So you have an all-female creative team on an Eisner-nominated title. That's what I call progress. But this is the only thing that Margery Lee has done. This Asian American writer was the primary writer for X-23 on a 21-issue run with that title, fleshing out the character. This was a continuity for X-23 starting in 2010. In 2016, she broke another glass ceiling for penning the Han Solo miniseries, which was well received. Female writers have not gotten enough of an opportunity to write for male leads, especially something as high profile as the Han Solo character for Star Wars, and she crushed it. Some of her other work also includes a 5-issue run with Black Widow, and a 15-issue run with Dark Wolverine, and a 20-issue run with Astonishing X-Men. Right now, all of her attention seems to be on Monstrous. You should be following this title and keeping up with whatever Margery does in the future. Number 5. Greg Pak, who is also of Asian descent. His father is Korean. And Greg is hugely respected. He's got a tremendous portfolio. He's best known for Planet Hulk, starting with the Hulk issue 92 in 2006. This is the extended story arc where the Hulk is sent to a foreign planet and becomes a gladiator in the arena. This storyline has been adapted for the Thor Ragnarok movie. There's an animated movie that's based on this storyline as well. And Greg is credited as the writer and the creator of Planet Hulk and all the characters in it. Of course, he wrote the follow-up, which was World War Hulk, when he returns to Earth seeking revenge. And a big milestone, Greg also wrote Amazing Fantasy Volume 2, number 15, where he introduced Amadeus Cho, a Korean-American teen who's one of the smartest people in the Marvel Universe. In 2016, Amadeus was upgraded to the totally awesome Hulk. And tying all of this together, Greg is the author of the ongoing series Weapon X, a storyline where the Weapon Plus program is trying to retrieve its assets like Wolverine and Sabretooth. This storyline crossed over with other titles such as the Totally Awesome Hulk number 22, where the Weapon H character was introduced. I'm not a fan because I'm tired of the mashup, but you have to give Greg credit for this. Some of his previous work include the Extreme X-Men, the Eternal Warrior issue 1 through 8 for Valiant Comics, and a War Machine solo series. Greg also took his talents to Boom Studios, where he created and wrote Met Cadet U, which has a young Asian male lead. It has the look and feel of Robotech meets Big Hero 6 meets Iron Giant. Here's another fun fact as well. Greg Pak is a certified genius. He's a Rhodes Scholar. That's the prestigious institution in England where the best and the brightest in the world go. Some of the other alumni include Bill Clinton and George Stephanopoulos, and Edward Hubble, yeah, the guy who built the telescope. So instead of being a scientist or a politician, Greg decided to become a filmmaker and a comic book writer. Thank you for choosing funny books, Greg. Your work is awesome. Number 4. Jeff Lemire, and he is a workhorse of productivity. He's probably best known at the moment for Descender, a science fiction epic that was started in 2015 about a boy robot on the run for his life. It has a massive universe that's like Star Wars size, and it's the winner of an Eisner Award for its art. Over at Valiant, he's the writer for Bloodshot Reborn and now Bloodshot Salvation. Over at Dark Horse, he's the author of Black Hammer, which was also nominated for Eisner. At Marvel, he was the writer for Moon Knight during the 2016 continuity. He wrote the Death of X miniseries where the mutants fought the Inhumans, and a Thanos series which started in 2016 as well. Over at DC, he wrote the Justice League United in 2014. What I like most is probably Bloodshot, in that he created Bloodsquirt, a psychotic, sadistic character that only Bloodshot can see, sort of like the Great Gazoo from the Flintstones, but more bloodthirsty. There's few writers in the class of Jeff Lemire. He's ranked number 4, so I guess there's only 3 more better than him. Number 3. Rick Remender. Is it me, or does Rick look a lot like the actor Jason Sudeikis? Tell me what you think. Am I way off on this? But they seem similar to me. I think Rick was the most underrated great writer in comics for a long time. He finally got his first breakout commercially with Seven to Eternity in 2016. So the masses are finally discovering him, but he's been great for a long time, with projects such as Low, told in the distant future where humanity must go to the bottom of the sea to survive once the surface world becomes uninhabitable. The writing is incredible. He also authored Tokyo Ghost, which is told about 80 to 100 years in the future, where people are addicted to technology. It's action-adventure with big doses of comedy in it. It concluded after a 10-issue run. It was nothing short of spectacular. He's also the author of Deadly Class. It's the story of crime families and where they send the next generation of assassins to get trained. This title recently got some love because it's been optioned for a TV show. And Rick took to social media to show some pictures of himself working on a screenplay for it. Rick is also the author of another sci-fi project in space called Black Science. Over at Marvel, he had a run on the Uncanny X-Force and the Punisher War Journal and much more stuff. Number 2. Brian K. Vaughan, and you know he was going to be rated high. He's best known right now as the writer for Saga, a title so critically acclaimed, it's been nominated for an Eisner every year of its publication since 2012. It's described as Romeo and Juliet meets Star Wars, and it lives up to the hype. It's really that good. At just 41 years old at the time I made this video, he's won more Eisners than any person in his generation, with a whopping 16 wins. Some people would just love to be nominated once. He's actually won 16. His first real breakout came in 2003 when he was the writer and the creator of The Runaways, about a group of teens that accidentally find out that their parents are supervillains. The live-action web series will make its debut on Hulu in 2018, and I am definitely a fan. In the early 2000s, he was also the author and creator of Why the Last Man with Vertigo. It's literally the story of a man in which every male human has died except for him, and how the world has to cope with this new reality. Before Saga existed, this was considered his masterpiece. In 2015, he did a miniseries called We Stand on Guard, told about 100 years in the future where America invades Canada to steal their drinking water after a massive drought hits the United States, and it's told from the perspective of the Canadian insurgents. As you might expect, it was hugely controversial because America was the bad guys in it. He's also the author of the ongoing series Paper Girls, also released in 2015. It too is the winner of multiple Eisner Awards. It's described as Stand By Me meets War of the Worlds. In the early 2000s, Bryan had a run on Batman and also on Swamp Thing. As you can see, Bryan is absolutely killing it, and he ain't done yet. Before we reveal number 1, let's look at some honorable mention nominees. Music, please. Donny Cates. He had a huge year in 2017, giving us God Country and Redneck with Image Comics and Baby Teeth with Aftershock Comics. Jonathan Hickman, one of the best long story arc writers in comics, best known for East of West with Image Comics. Greg Rucka, the author of many titles with strong female leads such as Lazarus, Black Magic, and The Old Guard. Ed Brubaker, best known for his film noir-looking crime stories. He's the author and co-creator of Kill or Be Killed, which was nominated for an Eisner. Becky Cloonan, credited as the first female to draw Batman for his regular title in 2011, and the author and creator of Gotham Academy. Tom King, who got acclaim for Sheriff of Babylon from Vertigo and The Vision with Marvel Comics. He's one of the fastest rising writers in comics today, and he's currently writing Batman and a Mr. Miracle maxi series. Matt Kent, a tremendously underrated writer. He's the co-creator and writer for Divinity at Valiant Comics. Divinity #1 made my list as the top comic of 2015. Kelly Sue DeConnick, who is the wife of Matt Fraction, who's in my top 10. She's the creator of the new version of Miss Marvel that was updated to Captain Marvel. In Image, she's the creator and writer of Bitch Planet, a famous sci-fi series that was nominated for an Eisner. Matt Rosenberg, who made a name for himself over at Tiny Black Mass Studio, is writer and creator of We Can Never Go Home in 2015 and Four Kids Walk Into a Bank. Both were tremendous crime dramas about young people in trouble. Scott Snyder, he really blew up as the writer for New 52 Batman. His horror series with Image called Witches is also superior. All right, now it's time to announce the top writer in comics. Who's it gonna be? Is the suspense killing you? Okay. Number 1. Jason Aaron, and you know it had to be somebody that was really strong to hold off Brian K. Vaughan. Man, where do I begin? Jason made his first real big mark in this game in 2007 with Scout over at Vertigo DC Comics. It's a crime drama on an Indian reservation. He's probably best known for Southern Bastards, an Eisner-winning story about a man who returns to his hometown and finds out that the high school football coach is the crime lord. But you can't pigeonhole Jason Aaron that easy. He's too versatile. He's also the writer of The Mighty Thor, in which Jane Foster has been upgraded to the current Thor. Thor Odin's son, who is no longer worthy, got his own miniseries called The Unworthy Thor. It's one of the best miniseries I read in a long time. Beta Ray Bill shows up, Thanos shows up. It was just ridiculously good. But wait, that's not all. At the same time this was going on, he was the writer for Doctor Strange with the continuity that started in 2015. He was also the writer of Star Wars, which also started in 2015. So in 2015 alone, he was writing 4 ongoing series at the same time. His output is uncanny. All his characters are relatable. His pacing, his dialogue, it's all there. This collection of work, this proves that he can do non-superhero real-world stories or over-the-top fantasy that you see in Star Wars or Doctor Strange. He can do it all. That's why he's number 1 on my list. Some other works include Wolverine and the X-Men, a 42-issue run starting in 2011, Ghost Rider, a 15-issue run in 2009, and even Black Panther, a 3-issue run in 2008. As you can see, he can write anything. Long live Jason Aaron. That's about it for today. Thank you for watching this about the top 10 writers in comics, regardless of gender. I apologize if I butchered any names. See the links in the description for more information about these talented people. And click on playlists within my channel and review my archives about comics. Some people got the impression that this channel was only for New Comic Day, and that's not correct. I do more than that. This is Comic Killer 72 for Comic Power saying bye-bye.